Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Hare Krishna, Balaram Prabhu. So nice to see you. I can't hear you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
My humble obeisances under your feet.
Accept my humble obeisances, Prabhu.
Please let me just introduce you first, because everyone's here now. And first of all, actually, just quickly, this is being publicly broadcast. Is that okay for the contents of this? Okay. Okay. So again, welcome everybody, to all the devotees, to the European Prabhupadanuga European Festival in Germany, hosted by our beloved Mathurapati Prabhu and his wonderful devotees. Let me just introduce Nimai a little bit, Nimai Pandit Prabhu, and hopefully he can talk a little bit more about himself also. But I've known Nimai Pandit Prabhu for at least 15 years. And for many, many years, he was one of the pioneers actually with the idea to try to bring Prabhupadanugas together in some nice unified format. You know, he's been working, trying to do this all the time. So we're just trying to be part of that same mood. Simultaneously, he's been the temple president for Long Island Temple, right? Long Island? Is that what they call it? Or New Jersey? Long Island. Long Island Temple, which is a temple that's legally registered under the original society that Srila Prabhupada originally founded in America, called ISKCON Inc. And at the same time, through all this, he's been working very, very hard. I lived with him for 6 months in New York, and I worked under him and served under him. So I lived with him. I know him personally day to day. And him and his wife sacrificed so much, and have sacrificed so much, and continue to sacrifice so much for raising funds, collecting money by working hard, not by just getting donations, working very hard. And with this money, they're investing almost every penny of it back to create what they see as Prabhupada for the future. And what a wonderful future is. He's dealing with ISKCON on a GBC BBT front, trying to get BBT rights for Prabhupada's books. He's also trying to set up Varnashram community, which he will discuss in another. And presently, which he'll talk later, but presently they have in New York State at Lee Farms, where they will set up a Varnashram college system. So we're very, very happy, Prabhu, to have you, an honor to have you. Thank you. I know you're very busy, really know that. And we really appreciate you taking the time out to come and share this with both the local community here in Germany, and also to the whole Prabhupadanuga world, around the world, and all devotee world, actually, because the more people know what's happening, what's going on, we're not a bunch of demons, we just love Prabhupada, and we're taking shelter of Prabhupada, rightly so. So please, Prabhuji, don't be humble and tell a little bit more about yourself for everybody to get to know you personally. One of the things we're trying to create here is for each devotee to get each group, each sangha, each devotee on a personal level, so then they can visit, communicate, and be better friends.
It needs to unmute.
Hare Krishna. You need to unmute yourself, and then the floor is yours.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Now, till what time do we have? When is your prasadam or other programs? You are on mute.
Actually, we're kind of, in one sense, from this time, we're flexible. And the next class is 7:30. That's our ultimate limit. But usually we're allocated 2 hours. So 1 hour for presentation, 1 hour for questions and answers. But really, the BBT and law situation, you can use the whole 2 hours. I don't think there's going to be really any questions left for them to ask, because you'll just give all the information. But so let's say 2.5 hours max.
Oh, he can hear me also now? Yes, I will speak loudly.
You can, Nimai Pandit Prabhu.
This is Mathurapati Prabhu.
You can hear me?
Prabhu. So good to see you. Good to see you. Happy present.
Yeah, long time, Prabhuji.
He can't see you. Come here.
Okay, when? Wow. Long time, Prabhuji. So after
Exciting.
this, I want also to ask you some privately because of this BBT and everything, but maybe not every question I give not here.
This is public.
Yeah, but then later I want to send you some email. Maybe you can give an email again. I forget
I'll give
email,
it.
sorry.
I'll give it.
He give me email. Okay, I can.
Very nice to see you, Prabhu, and nice to. This is your temple here.
Yes, yes.
Where is this in Germany?
Oh, this is 40 kilometers from Frankfurt.
Come here.
Okay, south.
You're gonna interact with him throughout this whole talk.
No.
He doesn't like me, but I force him to sit next to me sometimes.
So is that south?
Yeah, south, eh? Yes.
Okay. So we'll talk about the center, and I'm really interested to know what you are doing, Prabhu. And tomorrow, I think also you have been kind enough to allow me to explain about what we are doing with the Varnashram College and everything. So maybe we can talk more at that time. Today, I was hoping we can talk about Srila Prabhupada's International Society for Krishna Consciousness, Inc. So Srila Prabhupada, when he first came to New York in 1965, and then he was, preaching in New York City, in Bowery and other places. Then he went to Lower East Side on 26 2nd Avenue. And then we know that he formed a society where he established, where he put all the 7 purposes of ISKCON. And he even said we will coin the word ISKCON of this society. So that society is actually a registered legal entity which he made. When we say ISKCON was formed, when we say ISKCON was incorporated, or people talk about Prabhupada established ISKCON, how he did was he made a legal entity. And legal entity, if many people, I was not aware of it when I first came here in 2004 in the temple in Long Island in New York. But it's like we are a body, meaning we are a person. According to the laws of all over the Western world, even so many developing countries which are following English laws. And so there is a person who is a considered legal entity or a corporate body. Like I can be sued, you can be sued. Similarly, I can sue other people. I can ask for claims from somebody, if I'm. So similarly, there are legal entities created when there are more than one person, or even one person, they want to do some activities, business activities, or any spiritual or any religious activities, including religious activities. So Srila Prabhupada, he actually, when he formed ISKCON, it was not, it is of course a thought process, a consciousness, which he then formed into a legal entity, which so that the law of the land can recognize it. That is called, he incorporated. That's called an incorporation. I don't know in Deutschland how it is, but I know GmbH and UG, we registered them in you must have seen GmbH and so many other things on companies. So that is something like that. Prabhupada registered a society. Now that society, I wanted to show that to you. Can somebody enable the screen sharing, please?
Robin.
Just left click on it, left click.
It's disabled right now.
Sorry, Prabhu, just be with you in a minute.
Problem. So July of 13th.
Okay, translate someone, please. Where is co-host? Yeah, co-host. Yeah.
No, still.
Try now.
Yeah.
Working.
Yeah, it should work. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
So, I don't know how clear is this? How big is your screen there?
Yeah, it's
Okay,
fine.
big, huge.
It's fine. Little to the left would be good because there's some people's faces in the way. How do we?
Can you make me the co-host? Do you know how to do that?
Hang on a sec. Just let me. There. Is that better? There you go. Yeah, that's better.
Make me the co-host.
Yeah. Good. We'd have to go back. It's easier just to let them read for now. We can do it later.
So this is, you are able to tell me if you are able to not see it, huh? Certificate of.
We see.
So it's the Certificate of Incorporation of International Society for Krishna Consciousness, Inc. Inc. means incorporated. It's just a short form of incorporated, like GmbH. It's a whole German word, which I don't know. I can have never pronounce it, but it is a short form. So similarly, it is INC, Inc. And it was registered under the Religious Corporations Laws of the state of New York. So he says, we the undersigned, and I'll show you who the undersigned are, for the purpose of forming a corporation pursuant to the Religious Corporation Law of the state of New York, do hereby make, subscribe, and acknowledge this certificate as follows. The name of the corporation shall be International Society for Krishna Consciousness, Inc. The purposes for which the corporation is organized are to systematically propagate spiritual knowledge to society at large and to educate all peoples in the technique of spiritual life in order to check the imbalance of values in life and to achieve real unity and peace in the world. B, to propagate a consciousness of Krishna as it is revealed in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. C, to bring the members of the society together with each other and nearer to Krishna, the prime entity, and thus to develop the idea within the members and humanity at large that each soul is part and parcel of the quality of Godhead Krishna. D, to teach and encourage the Sankirtan movement, congregational chanting of the holy name of God, as revealed in the teachings of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. E, to erect for the members and for society at large a holy place of transcendental pastimes dedicated to the personality of Godhead Krishna. F, to bring the members closer together for the purpose of teaching a simpler and more natural way of life. G, this is the seventh, with a view towards achieving the aforementioned purposes, to publish and distribute periodicals, magazines, books, and other writings. So Srila Prabhupada, when we hear that he made ISKCON and there are 7 purposes of ISKCON, this is from where these are coming from, the purposes. And the same, let me just go in the bottom. Then it has some legal, all New York specific legal requirements. And he made 9 trustees, if you remember hearing about that. So in witness whereof we have made, subscribed, and acknowledged this certificate of incorporation this 13th day of July 1966. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Then there was Carol Beaker and Raymond Harris. This is Rayananda. So this is how it was registered. So this is important to know, because in future, what Srila Prabhupada did, and let me stop sharing this. Now, what Srila Prabhupada did with this society is one can open a bank account, one can start to, when donations were coming in from BTG, and so they were being deposited in this account. Garga Muni Prabhu, he was made the treasurer. Brahmananda Prabhu, he was made the president of the society, and so forth. The society developed from there. The books were being printed in ISKCON Press, which was also a part of ISKCON Inc. And like that, it went forward. Now, as the society developed, new temples were being developed, Srila Prabhupada, he was using the same ISKCON Inc., this particular legal entity, this corporation document, to register as a template and as the basis of not only in New York State, in all over USA, including the LA temple, Boston temple, we all hear that, including all around the world, in England, in UK, and even in Berlin. Berlin, it is mentioned this society as it is looking up to it as the inspiration or something, this particular. And later on, recently they removed it after our lawsuit. But this is so Prabhupada called it ISKCON Inc. So let us see. Let me show you. Look at this, Srila Prabhupada's own visiting card. We got this in AC, His Divine Grace, AC Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, Inc. Centers throughout the world headquarters, so on and so forth. So this is what, now why this society becomes important. Somehow or the other, as the temples were being opened and new places, preaching was starting, devotees were developing, and they were now buying properties. They were doing much more financial and legal and administrative than what the trustees in New York can handle. So gradually, this mostly it happened after 74 and 75, and we can talk about that, how it happened, why it happened, and how it happened in 74, what Prabhupada did at that time. But the devotees, under Prabhupada's direction, and acceptance, they started to form different legal entities in Los Angeles, everywhere. They started forming new entities, and they started transferring the temples from this legal entity to those legal entities. And finally, only like there was a big Manhattan temple. So this society used to own that temple too. Finally, in 79 or so, that temple was sold. And one more temple was like that. Finally, the only temple remaining of this society is now, since 1980, has been a temple, a small temple, a house temple. That's a big house, but a house temple in a house in New York, one of the suburbs of New York, called Long Island. It's about an hour or 40 minutes from Manhattan, from the center where the big temple used to be. It's in New York State, but so that temple from 1980, it was going on by different devotees were running it. And then in 2004, I happened to go there because the devotee before me, his name was Vishupran Prabhu, and his wife Aruna Mataji, they were running the temple, and they used to know us from Bangalore, where I joined for a couple of years. I was there in 95, 96, 97, like 96 to 98, something like that. I was there. And so they knew me from there. And so they told us, why don't you stay here and do the preaching from here? We had a traveling Sankirtan party at that time. And so we needed a place to stay to train the devotees. So we landed up there, and then suddenly the GBC, we didn't know what happened, but the GBC people, they started attacking us physically also. They came in, they started working on the congregation. And anyway, so all that, then finally, when nothing worked, then they put a lawsuit on us. We didn't know what hit us. I didn't know anything about it. None of us, we knew much about legal, or almost nothing about legal things. So, but then gradually we started to understand that, oh my God, this society is like the central society from which the whole organization of Srila Prabhupada was running for a long time. and also it can run too. We hear Srila Prabhupada made a GBC, how he made it through a document, a direction he gave called the Direction of Management. Has everyone read that document? Can anyone raise their hand? Direction of Management. No. Let me show that to you too. So this is called the Direction of Management. In 1970, July 28, 1970, Srila Prabhupada gave this Direction of Management of the society. It's on the letterhead of International Society for Krishna Consciousness Incorporated. Founder Acharya, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Direction of Management. It's very beautiful, sweet to read this, this preamble. He says, I, the undersigned, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, disciple of Om Vishnupad Paramhamsa 108 Ashtottara Shat, it's called, Shri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada, came in the United States in 1965 on September 18th for the purpose of starting Krishna consciousness movement. For 1 year, I had no shelter. I was traveling in many parts of this country. Then in 1966, July, I incorporated the society, which we just read from, under the name and style, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, or briefly ISKCON. The lawyer was Mr. J. Goldsmith. Gradually, the society increased, and one after another, branches were opened. Now we have got 34 branches enlisted here with, including Amsterdam. They didn't even have an address. It was running from a home. Amsterdam, Holland, Atlanta, Georgia with an address, Baltimore, Maryland, Berlin didn't have an address there, but devotees were there. And New York, of course, Buffalo. Then in Belgium, in Hamburg, they had a good presence at that time. And in New York City, they had a temple at that time at 61 2nd Avenue. So you can see that New York temple was also considered one of the branches of his society, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. That was not the temple which was running the society, even though it was where the society was incorporated. This is very important. Later on, we can discuss that. So in California, of course, there were so many temples. Japan, there was one temple. Canada, in DC. In Australia, in Sydney, there was one devotee, Krishnadas, and he was running the temple there. So then he says, as we have increased our volume of activities, now I think a governing body commission, hereinafter referred to as the GBC, should be established. I am getting old, 75 years old. Therefore, at any time, I may be out of the scene. Therefore, I think it is necessary to give instruction to my disciples how they shall manage the whole institution. They are already managing individual centers represented by one president, one secretary, and one treasurer. And in my opinion, they are doing nice. But we want still more improvement in the standard of temple management, propaganda for Krishna consciousness, distribution of books and literature, opening of new centers, and educating devotees to the right standard. Therefore, I have decided to adopt the following principles, and I hope my beloved disciples will kindly accept them. There was a meeting in San Francisco during the Rath Yatra festival 1970, and many presidents of the centers were present. In that meeting, it was resolved that an ad hoc committee be set up to form the constitution, which is taken into consideration. This is important, constitution, we'll come back to it later. My duty was to first appoint 12 persons to my free choice amongst my disciples, and I do it now, and their names are as follows. Number 1, Shriman Rupanuga Das Adhikari, 2. Shriman Bhagwan Das Adhikari. 3. Shriman Shyama Sundar Das Adhikari. 4. Shriman Sat Swarup Das Adhikari. 5. Shriman Karandara Das Adhikari. 6. Shriman Hansaduta Das Adhikari. 7. Shriman Tamal Krishna Das Adhikari. 8. Shriman Sudama Das Adhikari. 9. Shriman Bali Mardan Das Brahmachari. 10. Shriman Jagdish Das Adhikari. 11. Shriman Hayagriva Das Adhikari. 12. Shriman Krishna Das Adhikari. This is very important to know the history of ISKCON, because you see in Japan, there was only one temple. And Srila Prabhupada made, Sudama Prabhu was there. He made him the GBC. And in Australia, we saw one temple, Sydney, Krishnadas Adhikari Prabhu was there. Prabhupada made him GBC. These personalities are now considered as my direct representatives. While I'm living, they will act as my zonal secretaries, and after my demise, they will be known as executors. I have already awarded sannyas. Just an aside, executors is a legal term for who executes a will. So in a sense, it is he's saying, I may not be so much in the scene and such. So after my demise, they will execute it, these directions. In that sense, he's writing executors. I have already awarded sannyas, or the renounced order of life, to some of my students, and they have also got very important duties to perform in this connection. The sannyasis will travel to our different centers for preaching purpose, as well as enlightening the members of the center for spiritual advancement. The sannyasis will suggest for opening new centers in suitable places, and the GBC will take action on it. As was stipulated by the ad hoc committee, the function of the GBC will be as follows with particulars. Now here, there was this in 1970, in July, there was this Rath Yatra. So at that time in San Francisco, so Srila Prabhupada said that there was an ad hoc committee was going to be made, who were going to give considerations or suggestions on what is the constitution going to be for Srila Prabhupada's consideration. So this is, now we are starting with the part of that constitution. Particulars of the Governing Body Commission. The purpose of the Governing Body Commission is to act as the instrument for the execution of the will of His Divine Grace. This is where we again come to the will. Will is when somebody leaves this world, so they leave some instructions behind, and so somebody has to execute them. So this is why all these becomes important, execution, will. So in a sense, Srila Prabhupada was setting this up, or devotees were understanding that this is his will, and they need to execute it. So, and further, 1, the GBC oversees all operations and management of ISKCON as it receives direction from Srila Prabhupada and His Divine Grace as the final approval in all matters. Now, an aside again, when they say GBC oversees all operations and management of ISKCON, according to this document, which Srila Prabhupada is signing, this ISKCON, he's referring it to the society, which he says, I incorporate the society under the name and style, the International Society of Krishna Consciousness, briefly ISKCON. The lawyer was Mr. J. Goldsmith. This is the society which he is putting right there in the letterhead, International Society for Krishna Consciousness Incorporated, under which he's saying, there are 34 branches and listed. Of course, these were all independent branches. And for this society, for this branches like that, he is making a GBC. So this is the GBC. According to this document, this direction of management, the GBC oversees all operations and management of ISKCON. We can see it, ISKCON Inc., or International Society Krishna Consciousness Inc., as it receives direction from Srila Prabhupada and His Divine Grace as the final approval in all matters. His Divine Grace will select the initial 12 members of the GBC. In the succeeding years, the GBC will be elected by a vote of all temple presidents, who will vote for 8 from a ballot of all temple presidents, which may also include any secretary who is in charge of a temple. Those 8 with the greatest number of votes will be members of the new GBC. Will be members for the next term of GBC, excuse me. Srila Prabhupada will choose to retain 4 commissioners. In the event of Srila Prabhupada's absence, the retiring members will decide which 4 will remain. The commissioners will serve for a period of 3 years, and they may be re-elected at the end of this period. 4. The chairman is elected by the GBC for each meeting. He has no veto power, but in the event of a vote tie, his vote will decide. The same will apply for votes cast by mail between regular meetings. Throughout the year, each of the commissioners will stay with His Divine Grace for 1 month at a time and keep the other commissioners informed of His Divine Grace's instructions. The primary objective of the GBC is to organize the opening of new temples and to maintain the established temples. Advice will be given by the GBC in cases of real property purchases, which will be in the name of ISKCON Inc. Trucks or other vehicles will be purchased in the name of the local president. So that's what I was mentioning, that this ISKCON Inc., this is particularly for the US, it was being bought in the name of this society which Srila Prabhupada registered in New York. Removal of a temple president by the GBC requires support by the local temple members. The GBC has no jurisdiction in the publication of manuscripts, which will be handled by a separate committee. Profits to be returned to Srila Prabhupada. And then Srila Prabhupada, so this section from here on, to here, Srila Prabhupada accepted them. So if I go back to, there was a meeting in San Francisco during the Rath Yatra festival 1970, and many presidents of the centers were present. In that meeting, it was resolved that an ad hoc committee be set up to form the constitution, which is taken into consideration. So this is what he does. He gives their the constitution which they proposed. He accepted that, and then he continues on. After this, he accepted this, and then he continues on. Srila Prabhupada continues on. So far, my books are concerned, I am setting up a different body of management known as the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. The trustees of this body are also members of the GBC, but their function is not dependent on the GBC. ISKCON Press was created for the exclusive publication of my books and literatures and should be continued in that way. During my absence, no one shall live in my apartment. It is signed A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami on July 28, 1970, and witnessed by Bhagwan Das, and then this is Rupanuga Das, Robert Correns. So Bhagwan Prabhu and Karandara Prabhu. So these were all three first, one of the 3 of the 12 GBCs who were present in LA at that time with him, and he signed that. And at that time, LA Temple was also under the same New York society's this thing, ownership and functioning. So, of course, this direction of management, it's a huge, it's like ocean on itself, so much to unpack in it and see many ways what his desires were. In a way, this was,
can you stop sharing the screen?
In a way, this was his one of his will as part of the management of the institution. And there is a lot to try to understand what he was trying to do, why he was trying to do, what happened as the movement progressed from 1970 to 77, and then afterwards what happened and why it happened, and more important than everything, what can we do now that the movement can be where we can follow Prabhupada's instructions and desires, so that the movement, possibly one part of the movement, could be could set up in this in an organized manner. I would like to open it for questions, but I just want to say this couple of points about why we are talking about all this, why it is important, why I feel it is important, and why Srila Prabhupada has opened this up for everybody, Prabhupadanugas, is, see, he made the society, as he says, to bring the members closer together, to develop love for Krishna, closer to Krishna. Now, we know this is called devotee association, not Sangha. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami and Srila Prabhupada is explaining that what Acharya, Lord Chaitanya, is saying about the association, which is the most important, what's it called, a fence around the garden that each devotee is cultivating. The Bhakti Lata beach, or the seed of devotional service, according to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Chaitanya himself, is like a gardener planting a seed. And then the seed has to be poured water on through hearing and chanting of Krishna's pastimes and all the Krishna Katha and Srila Prabhupada's Vani and Hare Krishna mantra and everything. But then he talks about, Lord Chaitanya talks about the weeds also developing. And the weeds are where the whole game is about. We all know by chanting, this is the whole age of going back to God, just by chanting, simply. And we know and completely understand and accept that fact, because Lord Chaitanya has said it, the Acharyas have said it, and the scriptures are saying it. Srila Prabhupada said it, and he proved it, just by chanting, actually. And we ourselves are experiencing it too, that just by chanting, how the consciousness starts, day by day, it starts to change and get more and more sattva guna and more spiritualized. So, but the weeds are where the whole issue comes, which are la, puja, pratishtha. It's like where lust is there. These are gross weeds, and they are subtle weeds, where one is wanting adoration, worship, distinction. These are the worst kind of deeds. I mean, the gross weeds we already know, the lust, anger, and such. But the subtle weeds are the most difficult to. I don't want to go too much deep. I know Mathurapati Prabhu and all the great devotees here, they would have been showing that, and by example and everything. But the point of ISKCON was to make a fence around this garden. As Lord Chaitanya himself in that same passage says, the devotee association is the fence around the garden, so that animals cannot come in and remove the whole fence, and also that they help in removing the weeds from by interactions, and by the whole Trinadapi Sunichena Taror Eva Sahishnuna Amanandina Manadena Kirtanya Sadahari. Lord Chaitanya also says that we should keep this mantra around our neck and chant Hare Krishna mantra, which is be humbler than the blade of grass, more tolerant than the tree, and giving all respect to others and not wanting respect from others. This can only happen in association of devotees. And without it, the humility, the tolerance, the giving respect to others, it just cannot develop. Very difficult to develop. Now, of course, that is where, let's say, temples around the world, the devotees preach, like Mathura Prabhu has been preaching so nice. I mean, I'm just so marveled by how he used to be so strong in Krishna consciousness and Shaligram Shila and preaching in that small room and always welcome devotees and so much devotee association he was creating, and now he's creating more and more. Now, like that, around the world, Srila Prabhupada is inspiring so many devotees. Balaram Prabhu alone is preaching in the Muslim countries like that, and so many other devotees around the world, even on this call, Gaurasundar Prabhu, so many, all from time immemorial, actually, devotees have been preaching whatever they have learned, and so that's our duty and pleasure. But each devotee, there are 3 kinds of associations. One is a devotee who they are equal. We have equal friends. We can say, hey, first name basis, we can talk to each other, and they can chastise her, we can chastise them. It's an equal interaction. Then there is a devotee who is higher than us in Krishna consciousness, whom we would submit to. Somebody can say, listen, I can see you have this fault. You should not do like that. And we look at it with respect, oh my God, without agitatingly and replying back. And so because we respect that person, we become humble. And then there are devotees who are starting new, and they may be wanting to learn from us. So each temple, it is, when we start preaching, mostly devotees are coming to learn from us. So we are kind of their Shiksha gurus. That's how Prabhupada wants it. Lord Chaitanya wants it. Tariteka Tarika Krishna Updesh. So those devotees, then they become like thinking of us as a little higher than us in terms of consciousness and to learn. But that devotee who is preaching, it's getting weaker. The weeds, the danger is that the weeds could start coming. And we have seen throughout the history of ISKCON, the weeds are the ones which have caused all these problems. And to remove them, of course, hearing and chanting is the most important to keep on. We have farms, you have, maybe devotees have farms in the garden. We know that even if we remove all the weeds, if there is no irrigation happening, water is being sprinkled, no Bhakti Lata can grow. But apart from that, the main, after the hearing and chanting, to remove the weeds is a whole endeavor, the whole process by itself. And for that, an equal devotee is very important. A devotee above us in consciousness, whom we look up to and respect, is also equally important, because Lord Chaitanya has told it like that. And so, when Srila Prabhupada made this ISKCON, of course, he's following the Acharya's wish and his own great desire to see souls become attached to Krishna by creating a whole environment around an association, a worldwide association of devotees who can interact in all these interactions, to teach people, to interact, and also to take instructions from. All disciples of Srila Prabhupada, all equal on that platform, on spiritually, but in the interactions, in the formal interactions or learning, it's like that. Created a kind of etiquette, this kind of interaction which will help us. In a temple setting, it is very clear cut. He has made, somebody is preaching, he naturally will become a leader by following the instructions of Srila Prabhupada. Disciple would automatically be a leader, means one whom we can look up to and learn from how he is following the instructions of Srila Prabhupada. He or she is following the instructions of Srila Prabhupada. I would also like to do that in practice, Acharya. Now, the same devotee, where is that person's association? See, so there may be 1 or 2 friends, but people who are in that same position like that person, who is also feeling devotees are coming and asking questions, surrendering to that person, And also it's a duty to also, people, we amanena manadena kirtane, so we glorify other devotees. We should appreciate other devotees, what they are doing. So this is one of the qualities what Balaram Prabhu has all the time. No one can learn from him. So this to glorify, appreciate. So, but that appreciation can go to one's head. That is the weed, and we may be very. At least I am very all the time looking for that. It's so pleasurable to hear, and it can go to one's head, and then the preaching just collapses. This has been happening all over. When we talk about why the movement is not coming together, at least in the other ISKCON, whatever is this going on, there is this society developed. There is some cohesion, some organization is there. Why among devotees who are wanting to follow Srila Prabhupada, this is not there, there is no organized society, especially for the preachers. And also devotees who are little above one, whom one can surrender to. Very difficult, to where to find and whom to trust, because everybody feels that is this person's society. Why should I bow down to that person? And why should somebody feels, oh, they are coming in my location and preaching, they shouldn't come here, but they are coming. And there is no organization to say this is how everybody would agree on certain principles. And that's how an international society can reform again. So this is where I started feeling that, in early 2000, when we were preaching and traveling from one temple to another, and then we started seeing we tried so many different names. And then I came to understand, after so much fighting happening with so many different names of permutations, which even Prabhupada has talked about, Krishna consciousness. I don't want to tell against anybody. I'm just saying the examples which could come up: Hare Krishna movement, Hare Krishna society, Krishna conscious movement, Krishna conscious society. Prabhupada talks about all these names of his society, but he incorporated ISKCON. And in his books, he said, I have formed this ISKCON. Letters, books, so many places he has talked about ISKCON. So I started understanding ISKCON would be the only place, only organization which can actually be able to, where devotees around the world could actually come under, ISKCON name. And what to speak of a constitution under which the devotees can agree. We'll talk about more constitution, but under which can agree, okay, this is what it means to be a preacher. This is what it means to open temple. So all the organization of GBC, interaction, devotees interaction, their rights, all these things can be defined there. But before we go to that part, the constitution and other things, and then we'll go to the lawsuit, what's happening with ISKCON. We have 1 more hour. So I wanted to open up for questions, especially where it's just a lot to take. It is not what we read in books, Krishna and some Bhagavad Gita and other things. This is also a Vani of Srila Prabhupada, and I was just talking about what is the reason why this legal talks and all organization becomes important. Also, one part of our whole understanding of what Srila Prabhupada wants us to do. So please, if you have any questions or comments, and if you want to add to something which I have said, or if you want to have any questions, please, you have the floor.
Well, Nimai Pandit Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Maybe you can. Okay, now you give it 2 questions. Maybe you can also end and then ask for question, because after you explain something, what you are now in your court case, that would be also interesting. Because I hear from, I think, Gauranga Sundar.
After he said he would do
after you want?
Yeah.
After this, okay.
Yeah, 15-20 minutes. It's just to process it, to go to the next stage. It's just too much. Initially, many new people know, because they may not have been familiar with these instructions of Srila Prabhupada. That's why.
So as far as what Nimai Pandit Prabhu has presented up to now, does anybody have any question they have about that? Yeah, good.
Yeah, so I was discussing this so many times also with Sundar Gopal from ISKM, with every leader also. Sometimes they admit, because actually we need in the future maybe an international GBC, actually, that's true. So that everyone is really in unity. So that means really every leader, even like Madhu Pandit or whatever, and also Sundar Gopal in the end, so that nobody can do what they want. Also, okay, they are very good leaders and everything, but there are also some points maybe not absolute correct in this direction, maybe, let's say. So they must give up also this small thing, and come under an umbrella, so of this international, you see. So what do you think, how this can be possible in the future? How?
But just to say, he didn't talk about GBC yet, but just the topic that he's discussed so far, what he presented.
I will definitely talk about that, Mathurapati Prabhu. I want to come to it. I just want to see anybody has any, because many people may not know what is incorporation, and reading the Prabhupada's the corporation document and the direction of management, and the premise which I talked about, the association part of the preachers themselves. These three are the main topics I covered. Is there anybody who has anything to say?
I think Ronald Prabhu, he had his hand first, and after Ronald Prabhu is Mahatma Prabhu. So Ronald Prabhu, please go ahead and make your comment or ask a question.
So my comment is, Srila Prabhupada established ISKCON in 1966, the original one. So are you the original ISKCON? Because the original ISKCON also has trustees. Because from my understanding, there are a couple of ISKCONs in New York. There's ISKCON Inc., there's Srila Prabhupada's original ISKCON, and there is the Radhanath's ISKCON. So I'm not sure which one you are. You say you're the original, but do you have the documents?
This is the original ISKCON, International Society. This is what we are. This is the whole lawsuit is about the GBCs. They're trying to not let us have this society. Last 19 years, we have been fighting in the case in the New York court system on exactly this society, the original ISKCON. This one.
Okay, so who's the legal authority here? Trustees are the legal authority, but are you a trustee? Who's the trustee?
Yes. So there are, Srila Prabhupada made 9 trustees, if you can see.
Yes.
So the 9 trustees, so it's an election. If you remember, Srila Prabhupada did an election of the members. So similarly, there was an election. Every 3 years, we have been holding elections, and I'm one of the trustees and also elected the president.
Okay.
Like that. So the number of the trustees society shall be 9. So this society is 9 trustees. So right now, this is the thing. Of course, the future idea is that the GBC, when it is created, then they would become the trustees or portion of the trustees, and they will control this society. So I am a placeholder for the time being. Anyone else? Good question. Thank you, Ronald Prabhu.
Just to double check, just 1 minute. Ronald Prabhu, do you have any other questions on that point?
Can you mute that?
I don't know how to mute it. Rupa Singh Prabhu, can you mute yourself?
You can go ahead and mute also.
I don't know how to do it. Our IT guy is not here.
Robin!
1 minute. Okay, I'll try.
Okay, let us go to the next topic then.
Ronald Prabhu, is that okay? You finished?
That's okay for now.
Okay.
Great.
Mahatma Prabhu, are you there?
Yes, I am, Prabhu.
Go ahead.
Obeisance to Nimai Pandit, Prabhu.
Krishna
and all the devotees, Hare Krishna. I have shaving cream on my face right now, so I don't look very good. But here's my altar. The question I have is,
Rajesh.
at one time, ISKCON claimed that they had a victory against you regarding, I assume that was a lower court. That's one question. And the other one, what do you know about the 1999 ISKCON Incorporated registered in New York? The third question is, are you aware that I compiled 41 pages on unity and cooperation, since togetherness, unity, Sankirtan, cooperation are the purposes of ISKCON, and Prabhupada talked mainly through letters a lot about that. Are you aware of? If you're not aware, if you have not read this, it's in the Prabhupadanuga's worldwide.org.
I see.
Important information. That's all. Goes to Prabhupada.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Very nice to hear from you again. So the first question is that of course, that was in 2016. We had a thing. I'll talk about the lawsuit soon, and we had just had a trial, and we are definitely going to win, Krishna mercy, but we are sure of it. And it's only a question of what kind of defeat the GBCs get, and how it is written, and what. So we are eagerly waiting for the reply. But the second point was 1999, some ISKCON was developed. I do not know. There are many. See, there are many. One can use ISKCON of this, ISKCON of that. So many societies. Like there must be 1,000 in the world. So in New York also there are a few. So this is the original society, and that's the whole case is all about that. And the third is, no, I'm not familiar with it, and I'll really like to read it. If you can send me the link on that WhatsApp group that we are on. Okay, so
Thank you, Prabhu. Glories to Prabhupada.
Now this constitution, there is another question. Or the legal basis of the GBC when they have not followed the direction of management. Let me come to the lawsuit, and then I'll come to Mathurapati Prabhu's talk about how we can bring together and such. So what happened is in 2004, as I briefly mentioned, Vishwapran Prabhu and his wife with other trustees, they were running the temple in Long Island, and which is of course owned by International Society, ISKCON Inc. So this thing, and then they invited us to come. Our 7, 8, 9 devotees were there in our traveling Sankirtan party. So once we came, the GBCs, they started attacking, and then they finally put the lawsuit. So initially we didn't know, but then we started coming to know gradually as we started following this more depth. So the lawsuit is, where's this gone? Okay, so this is in the Supreme Court of the state of New York, County of Nassau. So county is just outside the New York City. One of the suburbs is one of the counties. It's called Nassau County. And this Supreme Court, actually, the way it is that this is the Supreme Court of this county. Okay, there are many district courts, so many traffic, there's so many courts. So in that county, it is a Supreme Court. Then above it, there is a appellate court. There above it of New York, then there is appellate division of New York, then there is the higher appeals court. So there are 2 more courts in New York itself, and this is in a New York law. So it is not in the US law, federal court of US Supreme Court. It's very rare that it will get there, because anyway, so we are in New York court. So we have in the trial, this is called the trial court also, and it is called the lower court also. So they call themselves the Supreme Court, but that is how it is. Now, this courts, we have been here since 2004, May. So that is 19 plus years now. So this court, we have gone to the appellate division, which is the higher up, many times, gone back so many times. Finally, this June, we had this 2023 June, we had the trial, which is basically just like you must have seen, if you remember. I don't know how many of you are devotees for long, but if you remember in other days, so legal dramas on TV or on movies, you see just like that, judge is there, then the witnesses come and the lawyers are going at it, and all the legal things are there. And I mean, it was one of the most exhilarating and adventurous thing for the last 19 years. Especially the trial was extremely entertaining also, because one feels like one is fighting for Lord Krishna and one of the warriors of Krishna, and Krishna helps in the war. And like in all services, Krishna in the heart sitting, he helps. So this was extremely, exciting to me. And in terms of just the process of the war, it says in Bhagavad Gita, fortunate are the people who these opportunities come, the rare, fortunate the one rarely these opportunities come. So hopefully this would, but the purpose for the whole lawsuit was trying to make sure that this ISKCON Inc. remains clear from this Kamsa-like attitude of trying to lord it over, and then all the devotees who are wanting to follow Srila Prabhupada are split and are everywhere. So this lawsuit, they put it in May of 2004, basically saying we are Ritviks and all these things, and we want to, they are the owners of ISKCON Inc. They control the ISKCON Inc. and we are trespassing and such. So this is a new defendant. Earlier, Vishwapran Prabhu and his wife used to be the defendant. Now I am the only one remaining. And this was my Karmi name, so a lot of time it is going to be. And then from the plaintiffs, these are called the plaintiffs, you can see, and this is a defendant. Plaintiffs were one older president was there, Edward Kelly, a Karmi name, and Adarshi Das is a devotee name. He started this Long Island temple in 1980, and Prabhupada instructed him to start. And they brought the deities also. I have to show you the deities. Nimai, Nitai deities are there. They were installed by Srila Prabhupada on the traveling Sankirtan party. You people must have heard of Radha Damodar traveling party, Vishnujan Maharaj. So it was one of those buses where Nimai, Nitai were installed. So they put as one of the plaintiffs, International Society for Krishna, this is ISKCON Inc., but it is a nominal plaintiff. It shouldn't have been here, and it has no part, it's not taking any part in the case. So actually the plaintiffs are this Kelly, Adarshi Das, and Governing Body Commission of the International Society, GBC. So this was, so last month in July, we submitted so Mahatma Prabhu, you were asking, so we have gone many times to the appellate. Sometimes we won, sometimes they won, sometimes, so these kind of things happen. And then we appealed to the court, and then it was changed and we came back. But a trial had never happened in this case. So the trial finally took place in June, like we were speaking. And in that trial, all the trial is basically a fact-finding trial. So the judge sits and finds facts. Okay, which evidences can come into the court system for the further judges to see, and if the witness is lying or not lying, and which witness can come in, and the whole legal thing is basically we have a nice legal team. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 lawyers in it. So one of the senior most lawyer is the Attorney General. He was the previous Attorney General of the New York State, very experienced lawyer. And the one lawyer who has stood with us throughout is Mr. Krishnan Chittur. From 2004 till now, he's been fighting for us. Very rarely, if any, money they have been taking. So this is Mr. Kopal, Associates. He was the Attorney General of New York State, Chittur Law Office. And this is his. And so the case, how it happens is in English law system, which I think Germany also follows, is that there is a fact finding, like either at the end of the trial, there are closing statements. Trial meaning all the witnesses say their thing, the documents are submitted. Is it true? Were you there? What happened at the time? So on and so forth. And then after the trial, there's a closing statements. The plaintiff's lawyer says this thing, that thing, and when it is trespassing, all these things. And then we as a defendant, then we also do closing statements. But that the judge didn't want. She wanted it written out. So we wrote it out the next month, which was July last month, and we submitted to the court on 23rd or 24th of July. So this is our defendant's post-trial finding of facts and conclusions of law. The way this is important because findings of fact would state what she found as facts. And then whether the laws that the interpretation of those facts is just like, it's so unique, just like Prabhupada's books, people who are philosophers, they know when we're reading Prabhupada's books and then interpretations are there similarly. So they're finding a fact and then what is our interpretation of the law on interpreting those facts. And similarly, they are also saying, no, these are the facts and this is our interpretation of those laws. So our findings of facts, let's say she accepts these or part of these, they are very rarely able to be changed in higher courts because she is the fact finder. She is finding these facts. Only can be changed is if the witness was compromised in some manner, or document was compromised, and all these things. She was an extremely good judge, very, very balanced, and she really followed the law. And both sides were happy with what she did, barring a couple of things which they may raise issues with. So I wanted to share with you this finding of fact because this is where the whole few questions and where we have spent so much time, energy, funds, millions of dollars. Actually, it has gone into this from both sides. So this is our proposed finding of fact. Let me read that to you. The International Society for Krishna Consciousness, Inc., we are saying ISKCON, just like what Direction of Management Srila Prabhupada says, just like that, this is ISKCON, according to us. ISKCON was incorporated on July 13, 1966, under Article 10 of New York's Religious Corporation Law. And these are all evidences, just like as devotees, we give evidences when we say something, it is from this verse and so on. So this is Plaintiff Exhibit 3. One of the incorporators of ISKCON was A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. I'm sorry, we couldn't write Srila because this is how legally he had written his name. So we had to write like that. The certificate provides for 9 trustees, again giving the references like that, provides for an annual election of trustees, actually a 3 every year, is silent on how his real property is to be owned or managed, is silent on his denomination or ecclesiastical authority or any governing body. Because they are saying we are the GBC over ISKCON. This is their case. They want trying to prove that. Now, ISKCON, this society owns and operates the temple in Freeport, which is in Long Island. The congregation, including Kelly, contribute towards the down payment to purchase the temple property. Plaintiff GBC did not contribute, so on and so forth. Okay, so plaintiff GBC, this is not what we are admitting to. This is, we are just quoting in the complaint the GBC is writing that they are the GBC of. So this is, it's a religious association. Okay, so what is important for us is these 2 sections, the next 2-3 sections. It's related to the GBC and is related to the BBT. And it is very interesting because Srila Prabhupada made ISKCON Inc., as we just saw, He also made a GBC, that we just saw in direction of management, and he also made a BBT. Now these people, they have changed all three, and you will see how. So we call it the DOM GBC. On July 28, 1970, the founder issued a direction of management, in short DOM, creating a governing body commission. We call it the DOM GBC. DOM is printed on the letterhead of ISKCON Inc. Its preamble refers to ISKCON Inc. We saw that. 8 members of the DOM GBC were to be elected by a vote of all temple presidents by ballot, and 4 others selected by the founder. DOM GBC members could not remove temple president without the support of the temple members. All new real estate purchases were to be in the name of ISKCON Inc. For real estate purchases, the DOM GBC was to be only an advisor. Separate from the DOM GBC, the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust was being created for publishing the founder's books. No evidence of DOM GBC's current existence was submitted by the plaintiffs. Now, this is earth-shattering. If the judge accepts our proposed fact, there is no evidence that GBC is still existing. And one can say, oh, but the GBC are there for so long, all these things. So the answer is here. What happened is, on November 29, 1993, 7 individuals registered ISKCON Governing Body Commission Society. It's a separate society registered in India, we call it the Indian GBC Society, under the laws of the state of West Bengal, India, by a memorandum of association dated February 7. So we call it the memo, this memorandum. Just like we read the certificate of incorporation of ISKCON. So, and then direction of management we read, and here Srila Prabhupada made a GBC. Like that, this Indian GBC Society was registered. Okay. It's not called GBC, it's called ISKCON Governing Body Commission Society. That's exactly the name for it. And I can show you if somebody wants to see this society's or this memorandum. This society is an unincorporated association. Their own witnesses, Bhaktarupa said so. It cannot sue directly, but only through its president or chairman and treasurer. The president, chairman, or treasurer of the Indian GBC Society did not appear at trial. So many funny things have happened. Later on I'll share to you. Plaintiffs offered no evidence that Indian GBC Society was a successor in title to the DOM GBC. Now, this is the most important for the so many repercussions in the whole wide ISKCON world and how we are, if this is accepted, that is Indian GBC Society is not a successor to the Prabhupada GBC. It is a separate society. That's what our defense is that, and we are trying to prove that. So our proofs are, nothing in the memo references in the memorandum of association of GBC Society, the Indian GBC Society references the DOM GBC. Their own people said that. 4 of the 7 members of Indian GBC Society were not members of the DOM GBC. All 7 members of the Indian GBC Society were Indian citizens. The memo does not references the direction of management and or ISKCON, which, if you remember, GBC, if it was actually the GBC which Prabhupada made, they would have been saying we were created by direction of management and so forth, just like what is there in the direction of management, that this is the GBC being created. And the plaintiff's 1991 resolution, so this is the DOM GBC's resolution, states that GBC will legally incorporate oneself, but did not proffer any evidence of such incorporated entity. The DOM GBC never adopted the memo. And these are all legal requirements to prove that we are actually we are just continuing on from the previous association. Now we are forming a society. They didn't do any of that, nor they transmitted to anyone. Now, these are our proofs that we have submitted. They don't have any proofs. There's no evidence they can submit. There is no evidence which is submitted at the court which shows that this Indian GBC Society is actually the same or successor to the old GBC. Now, what happens is that if this is proven, or proven meaning this is what we have tried to prove, and I think we have proven it very well. But this proposed, where did it go? This proposed finding of facts, the judge in her judgment, no, she may, what we are proposing is that please accept these facts, that this direction of DMGBC and then this Indian GB society, they are separate. It's just created on its own in West Bengal, and the old GBC just like disuse, it just vanished. And now there is no GBC which Prabhupada made. That's finally what we are trying to prove. And I think we have a very good shot. Our lawyers think we have a very good shot, but anything can happen in the court. So what that may do is not just in our case. Our case we will win in many ways. We have so many different layers by which we are going to win it. But in many other ways, the names, the trademarks, the BBT, most important, everything. This new society can't claim on all those older Srila Prabhupada societies, ISKCON and GBC and BBT and all these things. And we can go more if more time is there on the BBT whole thing. But this is where a large portion of the result would, we are hoping this would get, or we are going to win in many ways. If we will put that on our ISKCON website, these are all public documents, so there is no problem. And we will put their also, their response, their submission also. Plaintiffs produce these bylaws, there are no bylaws. Anyone can go and start reading these things. It's not too long, it's 30 some pages. It's so funny to read. We have gone through this 19 years, so it's so we have covered each thing. BBT, it's covering. I don't want to, it's just going to be overload of information if I go through each thing. But then we are doing a conclusions of law, and people can read it, how one by one they don't have the capacity to sue, they don't have standing, unincorporated association cannot sue even, and if they sue, the GBC, the chairman or the president should be there, the president treasurer should be there. They weren't present in the court. Because they were not even thinking they are the unincorporated. There are so many things they have totally messed up. Indian GB society cannot sue. Fatal GB chairman testify, warrants dismissal. Alien ISKCON do not have standing to sue, and so many. So this, it's a lot of legal thing and everything, but I find it same like fighting a war. Many like it's a battle. Hopefully we'll win this battle. The status would be then it'll go to, I'm sure it'll go to the appellate division. We will win this here. Krishna is there. Yeah, hopefully he'll keep my word. And then there they are going to, of course, try to see that we, the judgment of the court, lower court was not very good, and so on and so forth. So we understanding that so many ways we have tried to put many, if not this, like there are 7 ways the case should be dismissed and they should not be part. And I don't know how in any court, any judge will, it's like a total rout. It was beautiful to see how Krishna actually made it all happen, and how small, just like Hiranyakashipu we see, he tried everything to escape death. but Nrsingadev was more intelligent in that one step, more intelligent than him. And we have experienced that all the devotees who were in this case together, we have experienced that personally. So it's a great fortune. So it's the war is not won. This is the first step. It's 19 years, but it's only the first step, but hopefully it's the largest step when we have control of the ISKCON. Then, of course, our next step is to form the GBC, and we will talk about that if more time is remaining. But that is form a constitution and a GBC, and then, of course, the BBT case is there. The whole BBT thing is there. But I want to open it for questions before we go to the next stage. Any questions? Anyone else? Any comments, points?
Yes, I was just about to ask you a question. Actually, just to make it a little bit clearer for us, the mundane people that don't have such a law understanding in mind. What is the GBC ISKCON? What is the, that ISKCON? What are they trying to prevent you from getting? If they lose this case, what are they afraid of?
Okay, so let me share.
What will we win and what will they lose?
I will show you actually this. So this is the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust Agreement. Srila Prabhupada, 1972, we say Prabhupada formed BBT in 1972. So this is what he did in LA. This is how another trust he formed, Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. So this is how he's forming. I, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, disciple of Om Vishnupad Paramamsa Ashtottarashat Sri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada, hereby give and transfer all of my books and all property rights incidental thereto as hereinafter described to A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Balimardan Das Brahmachari and Karandhara Das Adhikari as trustees in trust for the purposes hereinafter stated and in the administered and to be administered in accordance with the provisions hereinafter set forth. Trust fund. The properties which shall constitute the trust fund include all books and manuscripts and other documents written by me. You will see there are 5 times he says by me or translated by me, including the following hereinafter listed, and all those written by me in the future, including all copyrights and publication rights incidental thereto. By 1970, he had already published all these books. Amazing. Huh? The Nectar of Devotion, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Srimad Bhagavatam, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. Chaitanya Charitamrita is not mentioned, but it says that all the future, including all those written by me in the future. Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Sri Ishopanishad, the Bhagavad Gita as it is, E-Journey of the Planets, Krishna Consciousness, the topmost yoga system. Back to Godhead magazine, the first step in God realization, the Lord in the heart, pure devotional service, the change in heart, process of creation, the cause of all causes, the incarnation of Godhead, Purusharupta confirmed, answers by citing the Lord's version, and more. So in the 2, name of trust, this trust shall be known by the name Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. Insofar as practicable, the trustees shall conduct the trust activities in that name. What is the purpose of the trust? This trust is created and shall be operated exclusively for the benefit of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, incorporated by me, and as qualified examiner under the provision. So this is this trust, this society we are talking about, this ISKCON. This is a exclusive beneficiary, it's called. In the legal terms, the beneficiary is almost as important or just a little less important than the trustees. So trustees are there who are running the day-to-day operations, and they're managing the trust according to how this trust agreement is written by Srila Prabhupada. Now, but it is for the benefit. The trustees are doing it for the benefit of what? Like, who are they benefiting with all their work? It is benefiting the society which Srila Prabhupada formed. See, International Society Incorporated, ISKCONing. So now ISKCONing becomes like the fulcrum of the worldwide mission, how Srila Prabhupada made it, where he wrote down all the 34 branches of ISKCONing, New York being one of the branches. And so the benefit means the books are for his society, for ISKCONing. All the funds are coming for the temples are ISKCONing. All the devotees in the of ISKCONing. That's how ISKCONing was. And he says that, and specifically for the book fund and building fund activities hereafter set forth in particular, this trust shall exist independently of the ISKCON, and trustees' function and duties stated herein shall be separate and not dependent on governing body commission of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And then he goes on legalities, they are there. Use of the trust fund. The trustee shall collect all proceeds from the sale of my books, that is 100% of all the proceeds from all of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness temples, which is ISKCON temples, and divide these proceeds into half for the book fund, half for the building fund. The proceeds allocated for the books fund shall be used for the following purposes, all at the discretion of the trustees: printing and reprinting of books, directing and managing all publicity and distribution of my books, processing all copyrights and legal rights to my books, allocating funds as they see fit to ISKCON press, and directing the operation of the activities of ISKCON press in the printing and reprinting of said books. Those funds allocated in the building funds for purchase of properties, construction of new temples, or renovation of old temples. People can read that, but he has full trust in the trustees, and they are going to do as this. So now what happens is that this becomes, this is Srila Prabhupada's beautiful signature, 29th day of 1972, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. And here again, these are the three trustees, Balimardan Prabhu and Karandara Prabhu. So we got it from the LA County Court. So now the whole thing is that the beneficiary can go to the Los Angeles probate court or the trust court and say to the court, listen, judge, these trustees are not running the trust properly. They are not doing their duties properly. In fact, they are not even running the trust. When we've actually filed a case like that in LA against the BBT trustees to the judge, to the petition, that to remove these, or they should give an accounting of what they have been doing, and that judge should remove and appoint the new trustees as far as what the court feels is right, or they should ask them to fix the trust. And part of the complaint of that petition which we filed, and that is also we can share on the ISKCON website, is that the trustees, they not even running this trust. I mean, this trust doesn't even have a bank account. It never had. I mean, it's so strange. So all what is happening now, the copyrights were just nominally in it, but was being run by ISKCON. They made another society or another corporation called Bhaktivedanta Book Trust International, called BBTI. We call it BBTI. But that holds the copyrights, like license, like that copyrights. They are running the copyrights. But the printing is happening not in BBT, not in BBTI, but in another entity called Bhaktivedanta Book Publishing Inc., BBP Inc., BBPI. So we call it like that. So that is running in that. So they are running this BBT in that manner. So they don't have to follow these these all these instructions of Srila Prabhupada. And so that has been going on from some long time. And there was a whole case with the Hamsaduta Prabhu in 1996 to 98. It ran 97 to 98 in LA, where finally there was a judgment done by the court. And so basically we want to revive that judgment and say we are the beneficiary. We are the exclusive beneficiary. The trustees are not even operating this trust. They are just mismanaging the trust. They are printing. Prabhupada talks about my books, my book translated by me. They're putting all the other kinds of books. They're changing the books, doing whatever they wish. So they should be removed. Now, that is the very straightforward, looks like legally straightforward method to prove that. But when we did that case, the GBCs, BBT trustees, the GBCs, they basically attacked us. Like they responded to the court by saying that, listen, judge, we don't think you should act on that petition right now, because we don't even know how the case in Long Island in New York, that case will finalize, like who will be decided by the court as who are the authorized trustees. Of course, we are running the society, we are running the temple. So right now we are trustees now, but there is a legal dispute on it because they have made it a dispute. So we are trying to, so the judge could have said, no, they are operating it. Let me hear the petition. He didn't. He or she, he didn't. He just said, okay, I will wait for that case to get over. That was in 2008, 15 something years back. And he said, okay, I'll wait for that case to get over. And he denied our petition without prejudice. Without prejudice meaning we can again come back with that same with the same petition again. So that's what we are waiting. So the GBC, the BBT people, they all know this very, very well. They're lawyers, Gupta Prabhu and so many others. They have been quarterbacking this case for a long time, 15 years. They've been putting millions of dollars in very good law firms, Manhattan and other places they have had. And they have done their best. What the case and the quality in their legal team they have done the best they could. But we could see from every angle they have been stopped, and I cannot go too much into detail with the word strategy, and we have to see how the result comes out from this case, but we'll see. So this is Balaram Prabhu to answer one. So this is one thing will happen if we win this case. But the primary thing that will happen is that we will be able to form a worldwide ISKCON from among the Prabhupadanugas. So they become everybody. We are going to humbly approach everyone, Trinadapi, Sunichena, that please, we are at this stage. Let us come together, all of us. How to come together is the Prabhu was saying that Madhurapati Prabhu was saying how to come together, how all these things will work. So the way to do that, I feel, or we are proposing, is let us form a constitution, even a preliminary constitution, under which everybody can feel, okay, we can work together. Srila Prabhupada's long desire has been there to make a constitution. He actually started on it, making a constitution. Here. So this will, I think it is there on our website too. But these are all Prabhupada's, mainly his instructions on what he was doing and what he did in the constitution of association he did, in the direction of management. And we can talk about that later. But all he said later was, GBC, we are in the experiential stage, but the next meeting of the GBC member, they should form a constitution, how the GBC members manage the whole affair. So it's like, this is what we need to do. So unless we have a constitution, it's very difficult for anybody to, work together long time. Even husband, wife, it's difficult to work together. What to speak of in Kali Yuga, devotees from around the world with very leadership personalities and with a lot of set ways, and so that's what we will be seeing. So we are waiting for this case results to come, and then we are going to start working on that. But we can start talking about this. I know I would have bored all of you to death.
No, you have about 1,000 questions waiting to be asked to you, especially by Ronald Prabhu. So maybe we can invite, there's Ronald Prabhu and there's Nityanand Prabhu. Ronald has already asked you at least one question. So let's invite Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda Prabhu, you please ask one question on one topic, finish it with Nimai, and then we go to the next person. We'll come back around like a carousel.
Yeah, sure. Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanavad. I just wanted to say that some questions online on the chat. So I don't know, I wrote many questions as you were speaking. I don't know if you want me just to read that out or
read them,
one of
read
the
them.
two.
Yes, Prabhu, please read them.
Okay. Let me get to the questions here. Second me. Okay, one of the questions, let's start from the beginning. So, how are the copyrights transferred to the BBT? So, I know that did the Hansa Dutta not sign over the copyrights to the BBTI? Or did he resign as a trustee before that? Hare Krishna.
Nimai Pandit Prabhu, are you there? I think we may have lost it. Did I do something? Nimai Pandit Prabhu, you there? Haribol, you can unmute yourself. Nimai Prabhu, you're muted. Are you unmuted? Is Robin muted? I'm unmuted. Robin! No, it's not us, I think.
Mr. Mahmood?
Nimai Prabhu, if you can hear me, sign out and sign back in, because it looks like you're just frozen. Yeah, let's just wait a minute because I think it's signing back in.
Yeah, I'm back. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. So Nimai Pandit Prabhu, the question was from Nityananda Prabhu is, how were the copyrights moved from BBT to BBTI? How did that, let's say in simple words for us to understand, how did they do that? Okay, again, it's frozen. Okay, I apologize again, Nimai Pandit. It's okay.
Are you able to hear?
It's his connection. His connection bar is red. Okay. This means it's
Nimai Prabhu, can you hear me? Your internet connection is really weak. Is that what that's showing?
Yeah.
How is it now? How is it now?
Now good. We can hear you clearly. Did you hear the question? Okay.
Yes. So Nityananda Prabhu, so let's say you write some book, it is copyrighted by you. You have the right to reproduce it as you want it. Nobody else can utilize it or do whatever. Okay. Then now the next thing is, let's say if you are, instead of you writing it, you are working for a company. The company is paying you salary and whatever, and workspace, and it is setting the agenda and management. And they say, hey, can you write the same thing? So let's say then the copyright, it may not be for you, it would be for for the company, because they paid the money and they arranged the whole thing. Their intellectual thought process went into asking you to write something. And so that is then copyrighted, that it belongs to the company. And you were the author, but you were, according to the US copyright law and the international law, copyright trademark laws, there you are the worker for hire, because that is the category they put you under then.
I've seen that document, yeah. So can the BBTI be sued for copyright violation?
Now let me come to how they transferred it. So then Srila Prabhupada, when he wrote Bhagavad Gita and said his copyright was his, and ISKCON Press was printing. So ISKCON Press was saying that we are publishing it, but copyright belongs to A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, like that. But then in the late 70s, 80s, when they started changing the books, they needed to have the authority to do some things with the books. They started re-registering like Bhagavad Gita as it is, as a revised edition, saying as ISKCON and not BBT, but now the copyright. So one thing, so when Prabhupada made the BBT, he transferred the copyright from his own self to the BBT. That's what he did. He put the copyrights into the BBT. Now, but when they made the new changes of the Bhagavad Gita, so they started registering in the US Copyright Office as revised edition, a new edition. Now the copyright was with ISKCON or GBC or even with BBTI and other entities, not Srila Prabhupada or not BBT. So that's how they did it. And what should have happened is BBT should have gone and said, hey, what is this going on? And it is trustee's duty to go to to exercise the copyright. They never did. So this has been going on for so long. It's like pandemonium. Like everybody is, I mean, at least they have gone and copyright. And then around the world, they go around saying BBTI, hey, we own the copyright. Look at this copyright thing, and we own it. But actually, they don't. But anyway, so any other further questions you have on that?
Yeah, so, okay, I understand that, but thank you very much. So the GBC has also changed Srila Prabhupada's the ISKCON logo for ISKCON itself and for BBT. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, yes.
So in regards to that, with ISKCON Inc., how is that? Will Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON logo, original logos, be incorporated in whole?
This is the legal fight.
Yeah.
The original logo actually is the one on ISKCON website. You see Radha Krishna under a tree that Prabhupada got it painted, and that was the logo. And then it got changed under Prabhupada's direction. You made lotus and everything. So that logo, there'll be a fight. Now, whether we want or not, how much is what we want, we can just do the original logo. That's what we have been thinking. But the name, so many, main thing we are concerned about is the BBT, the substance of it, the books. So that is where we should put our funds, energy, and thought process. And that's what my thinking is. Other people.
Thank you very much. I just want to find out one more thing. Can that certification and the documents that you shown us today, can it be made available for us to?
Yeah, we make it available on the website. Many of them are already, but if they are not, we will. It's all public knowledge, and we want it to be propagated more and more. So we'll make them available. I look forward to hearing from you more questions. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
We need devotees who have this thinking also. Prabhupada needs them to push on this facet of this movement.
I think is it Mahatma Prabhu who was next, or Janas Priya? Mahatma Prabhu, you want to go ahead?
Okay, devotees, so basis was to Prabhupada again. A few things here. It's important to this unity, would help understanding this unity that Prabhupada wanted is extremely important for the service, that we all come together. Because Prabhupada said, if you don't cooperate, you render me useless. He said, never have an attitude of non-cooperation toward your God brothers. He also said, even if you disagree, you should still cooperate. So let me share a few things that I've experienced regarding all this. I'm the one that got the certified copies of the corporation papers of ISKCON on the BBT that eventually got us the rights through KBI to print the original books, etc. One thing that I thought is relevant, the last will and testament says, must be, for one to be an executive director of an ISKCON property, he must be an initiated disciple of Srila Prabhupada. So that may be a way for us to get properties back. As far as I know, I had a Abhimanyu Das from Russia. I sponsored him in my home for over 6 months, everything paid, everything taken care of, very good scanners, etc. He had 12 original books scanned. I had 25, and we ended up scanning 100. And they're in the cloud. I'm low tech. I only know the clouds that rain. I know a lot of them here in Florida. In any case, and he said that question about Hasaduta, he showed me all the papers where he was made trustee of the BBT. He didn't show me black and white evidence, but he did tell ardently that Hasaduta never accepted the deal. There was the $400,000 deal offer for him to renounce his position as trustee. The money never came, so he never renounced his position, and he gave it to Abhimanyu. Abhimanyu claims that the BBTI has a fraudulent or unauthorized copyright, and also the temple president of Los Angeles. And I tried to convince him. I got a good attorney, trustworthy guy, someone that worked for the International Religious Freedom Entity and so forth, but he was not receptive to that. He wants to just work on his own. I suggested that we make a team. He as a trustee also is automatically a GBC, and he could make other GBCs and so forth. So under this principle of unity and cooperation, we should try to work, communicate with someone like him and see what can be done. Of course, as you have said, Nimai Pandit, it's extremely difficult to deal with devotees sometimes, God brothers, the carrots have to be cut in this particular way and the tomatoes in this particular way, and there's no other way. Makes it very difficult. So I try my best. I even got a trailer for him to live in and have his office there, but the trailer was not suitable enough for him. He was a little uncomfortable, so he left. As far as I know, the other original trustees were, in addition to Hasaduta, were, I think, Balimardan and Kurandar. There is an official letter where one of these, Balimardan, I think, is the one, if I'm correct, that renounced the position to the BBT. As you said, Nimai Pandit, I'm totally in agreement with you that the BBT is the most important, because Prabhupada said, even if there is no temples, my books will do everything, and the books have to be printed through the BBT only. And another significant thing that you said is that the ISKCON Incorporated is the only beneficiary of the BBT. So, yeah, I think that I've said everything. Yeah, close to Prabhupada.
Thank you so much for that input and that information. Nimai Prabhu, do you want to give any response to that or say anything about that?
No, everything is good. He's very nice devotee. All his thought process are great. Everyone is, so many devotees, Prabhupada's disciples, they are working to, the closest thing to our heart is Prabhupada's books and keeping them for the future parampara. So it'll take a humongous effort from all of us together to achieve the result. So I really like to work with everyone to do that.
Jai, Hare Krishna. Janas Priya Prabhu. Janas Priya Prabhu, are you there?
Yes, Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
Nimai Prabhu, it's so wonderful to have you here doing this presentation. This, at least for me personally, brings a lot of peace in my heart that there's people that they're efficient at what they're doing, which I think you Prabhus are pursuing this so important. And I wasn't quite aware of what was going on, but my question is, on a local level, I live in Honolulu, Hawaii. The Honolulu temple is kind of redback friendly in a way. So how could we, according to the order of management, could we organize our local community in a way to support what you're doing?
It's Prabhu, thank you very much for all your appreciation. But you know, there were many devotees who are part of this effort, and if we were very efficient, we wouldn't have taken 19 years or 20 years to get to this point. So, but as far as future, there are a lot of things one can do, but the most important is to, as far as ISKCON Inc. is concerned, because it's right now 1 month we are waiting for the result. It should take 1.5 months to come. And after that, our thought process is let us form the constitution to first version of the constitution. I don't think we'll agree to very detailed without having a lot more interactions. But I think we may be able to come to some level of constitution broadly, and then agree, okay, under this constitution, we can all work. Each one will have their independence and rights and such, which are very clear. Like there are some indisputable facts based on Srila Prabhupada's instructions. We can all agree on some facts, and then that may form the basis of our cooperation. And then we can continue working on the different versions of the constitution in the future. So that is on, and then senior devotees, they help bring devotees together, advise them and instruct them and explain how Prabhupada wanted it. And this is the culture they are setting. In Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna says, if the elders are killed, then how will the culture be communicated forward? And of course, the biggest culture is the Harinam Sankirtan and becoming purified and chanting it. And that's actually a disciple. So to communicating that is the most important for all this thing is finally to chant purely. That is the wish and the endeavor. So as we go forward, Prabhu, more things will be revealed by Krishna. I do not know now about other things.
My question basically, my question is on a local level. I live in Honolulu. How could we organize the community, which is according to the order of management, which whatever the community wants, then the temple president should listen. That's the order of management, correct? So how could we?
Is that ISKCON? See, I wasn't going to come to. I wasn't trying to address that purposefully, but the thing is that, see, this if it is proven in court. See, okay, backtracking about 10 years, 15 years back, when the GBCs they came to know that we have such a strong case. According to the legal documents and everything in this court case, they started to reorganize the legal papers of all the ISKCON temples in the USA to be overtly, explicitly putting that ISKCON GBC Society of India, the West Bengal Society, has control over all these individual ISKCON temples around the world. They did an exercise around the world. many temples were not agreeing to it. There was a whole campaign. GBCs were involved, and most of the temples, as far as I know, I don't know, I haven't seen, but they have been submitting us all these documents in the court. That's how we came to know that so many of the temple corporation papers, they have changed them to give overt instructions on the ISKCON GBC society being the overlord. Now, if that has happened, no, it's very tough to legally do anything about it. There are different devotees who are working even that, which I cannot reveal right now on that aspect. And if Krishna wishes, Srila Prabhupada's wishes that this current GBC also needs to break down, the Indian GBC society, then it will happen. We have seen it. If Prabhupada's desire is there, Mare Krishna Rakhe Ke, Rakhe Krishna Mare Ke. So it may also happen, but right now I am not involved in that whole thing, and I don't even know whether it will even go forward. As far as I am seeing, the path forward right now is to form our own. It may happen that Srila Prabhupada may later on, or I don't know the timeline now or later on, whenever, he may break down a lot of GBC's trust and so many things different. They were trying with the poison issue and such. He may break down all those trust and those whole structure and organization also. We don't know. Till that happens, we are stuck. Those devotees in that community with this current ISKCON temples, they are legally, it's extremely difficult, if not impossible, to do that. Actually, the GBCs, they were telling us that we are fighting it so much, even though our case is weak, is because we are trying to make an example. We're making it so prohibitively expensive and so difficult for anyone else to do the same thing again. So they have put millions and millions, like I don't even know, 4 or 5 million probably they would have put with the, I just calculate the amount of number of hours they have been putting in, and over like 19 years, that's a lot of hours now. And so which community will be able to afford it? We weren't able to afford. I mean, we just somehow by so many arrangements of Krishna, we managed it till now. And devotee sacrifices and such, and even lawyer sacrifices. So I don't see how, at least right now, I mean, I couldn't see 20 years back how ISKCON, I was desiring before we came to temple, desiring only ISKCON name should be there and all these things, BBT, and it was fell into our lap and it was already pre-planned. So we don't know. So that is, so better for the time being, devotees develop their own, and then we associate as part of ISKCON Inc., remaining independent and forming our GBC, going after the BBT, having our own GBC, BBT, and having a society. That's what I have been, getting inspiration of, and creating, like, main thing is, this is just the base, the framework. Main thing is the preaching. The preaching should be so marvelous, and so like Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam, it should be expanding so much, so fast that, I mean, this people have to accept it, that this is the parampara, the life parampara.
Thank you very much for your answer, Prabhu.
Nimai Prabhu, there's a devotee who just wrote, I can't see his name now, but just directly to this topic, he's asking, is there any financial help needed? I'm not sure if they're offering, but that's the question.
Prabhupada says, no, we are always begging with our, always, but it's just a lot of funds. Like currently, I have a bill of $100,000, which we are paying. So, I mean, better to spend funds in preaching, because it's just so much funds. I mean, $100,000 can do so much preaching, and Krishna will provide some way or the other. But if somebody really is inspired about the case, we will build $1 million in funds for the BBT and such. When the time comes, we will approach, and maybe with small donations, we can approach it. I mean, we would put, Krishna has been merciful with the businesses. We will put the largest portion of it. And if no one puts, then we will be forced to put everything also, one way or the other. But if somebody wants to, yes, they are welcome. And ISKCON, you can contact me and I can show them how to donate it to ISKCON Inc.
Yeah, so that was Narottam Das Prabhu, I think, asked that question. So yeah, if you have any desire to help and support Nimai Pandit, and indeed our generation and our future generation, then yeah, you can contact Nimai Pandit Prabhu. I'll put his. Can I put your email address on this chat?
Yeah.
How do you want to do that?
WhatsApp, if people are familiar. Everybody uses WhatsApp. So number is, I can show you.
Okay. Yeah, if you can type in your WhatsApp number, everybody can see. While you're doing that, there's Venkat Bhatta Prabhu. Can you please share with us your comment and question?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much for the presentation. My question was...
Who is this? This is...
Hare Krishna. This is Venkat, who is representing and the IT and the huge service personality behind PDA, Prabhupada's Disciple Association.
Okay. I'm not
yes,
familiar
Prabhu.
with PDM, so yeah, but yeah, please go on, Prabhu.
So my question was regarding the original books. Yeah, I understood that they've been systematically, registering different copyrights with changing the books and registering the copyrights under different entities. But my question would be, who owns the copyrights of the original books, the original works? Is it still the BBT, the original 1972 California Trust, or was it transferred to BBTI in that court case? Or like, it's a little hazy to me, at least. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Thank you. Very good question. So this is a case which was in Los Angeles in 1998. So it was, the complaint was filed in May, and then this is from November of 1998. It was with Hamsaduta case, which we call it. So there was a judgment filed. There was a stipulated. Stipulated means the judge did not judge the facts, but the parties, they agreed on the facts and they said, these are the facts, judge, you sign on it. So they stipulate to it, they agreed to it. So this is the judgment which was filed, which is actually controlling, which is the controlling case over the BBT right now. It is hereby stipulated by and between all of the parties hereto, the judgment shall be entered as follows. The ownership of intellectual property rights set forth in attachment A, which is all proper, is confirmed and ratified as of the date of this judgment in the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, BBT, created by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada on May 29th, 1972, which the parties agree is a valid California religious trust, which we read from. We were just reading from it. This is the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. So they ratified it because that was the whole case about that the ISKCON didn't want this BBT there because they couldn't control the BBT. So they ratified that. That was a huge thing, which Gupta Prabhu and Hamsaduta, glories to them, they accomplished it. The trustees of the BBT are Swavas Prabhu, Nareshwar Das, Jayadvaita Swami, and Brahmamurta Das in Europe, in Sweden. And the beneficiary of the BBT is the International Society for Krishna Conscious ISKCON, founded by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada in 1966, and as further defined by the ISKCON's governing body commission. If someone has any question, I can talk about this later. Plaintiffs, Bhaktivedanta Book Trust International, BBTI, has acted as the authorized agent of the BBT since the incorporation of BBTI in or about 1988. Okay, so the stay judgment is entered into pursuant to the terms of separate we have this settlement agreement too. So this is how it was, and then they sealed it. and somehow we got the copies. It's another story. So Hamsaduta, all these devotees then decide Jayadvaita Maharaj. So this is, so they are acting legally as their agent given by the court order. What they do is they say we are agents for exercising the copyrights of BBT. That's their official position, but they are not doing that. They have so many other things they are doing, and we have said that in all our petition, and BBT itself is not functioning. There's a whole tiff going on among the BBT and BBT here, BBTI and BBT India, and whether we should restart this BBT or not, and all these things are going on. So that's for another day.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Venkat Prabhu, is that okay?
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Well, I mean, my question was, I think I'm a little familiar with the outcome of that court case, but then I think later on, Hamsaduta Prabhu, he felt cheated, and then he kind of rescinded on a part of that agreement that he'll sign over the copyrights to BBTI. So I'm not sure, but thank you, Prabhu.
There's no legal basis right now, because first of all, unfortunately he passed away, but fortunate for him, he's Srila Prabhupada, but the claim died with him in that sense.
Yeah.
But otherwise also I was in communication with him, but it has to be activized by filing it in the court system, which he didn't do, not do money so many ways there. So this is what is pending, what is there right now in the court. Court will not see anything else other than this stipulated agreement.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
We have a question from Mathurapati Prabhu.
And there is one more. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, you can hear me? Loud.
Yes, very well.
Okay, what is, let's say, only for example, that if some devotees want to print Prabhupada's original books in some country, whatever, only example, and they print it without copyrights or something, because it's too much for them. So if they do it, and someone catch them or whatever, what can be happen exactly? Or can they fight against this, even if such a case would come in the future? Can they do something to defend them? It's easy or not easy, or it is a big problem, or what is?
So I have tried that many times, tried to print and everything, and then we printed a BTG also in New York, and that was a whole thing. And so this, see, legally BBTI will exercise its copyright, and it has been doing it all around the world. There is no doubt about it. Nobody else, as people say, is gone. We can print it. We have the copyright. It says totally not false. This is the agreement which is existing and intent. So let me just backtrack. The copyright law, let's say it is here in New York State. Sorry, in California. It was in California court, but that same copyright being in BBT and BBTI exercising that authority, that is by a Kyoto Protocol, some Madrid Protocol. There is an international association of all the countries came and they signed on to it, by which all the countries accept each country's copyright laws, you see, registration. So if in USA, this is the legally the right, BBTI can, because of that protocol, it can go into any country and sue anybody there to stop them, to seize the books, to stop them from distributing it and everything. So that is the legal position is that. Now, whether they do it or not too, that's a whole practical thing which they have to be the judge for that, whether it will worth their resources, time. If 50 people are doing it, which they will go after, So all this, I cannot recommend anything being in the court system, actually asking them that they should, exercise their rights of. Actually, as a beneficiary, we have to tell why BBT is not exercising its rights, letting other people print, because BBT, Prabhupada wrote only BBT can print. No one else should be able to print unless authorized by the BBT. So that is his position. But of course, there is a instruction and there is an application, and currently this is what is happening. So, but a lot of what people have done is, what I have seen is BBT exercising its authority. They how many, I mean, small printing of books, what is there is no cost comparison, like if it is, what can they do? But online it is easily possible. If you are putting it online to be sold, it's very easy to go to the IP provider and say, hey, this is not intellectually against it, copyright violation, remove it. So that they can do easily. So that they have been doing quite effectively, efficiently. I don't know how much, but I used to know this real time. So, but if it is not online, I don't know. I mean, it is just like speeding. If there is if you go beyond certain limit, you will be speed, you will be traffic, you will be cited for a traffic violation. But how many, I mean, so many people are speeding, and so each person has to decide on their own. Online, I know it is very easy because of the IP providers. They just have to provide the copyright from US, and the IP provider will shut it down within, they give 48 hours or something. Like countries where it is tough to exercise the authority, some of the Muslim countries, or I don't know, like China, I don't know, I'm just making an example out of it. Russia now, so it's like, who is going to go in Russia and try to go to the court there and try to exercise the authority, unless they can tell their local people to just make a visit to the home, and they could do. So they've done with us, so I know it's not beyond the realm of possibility.
Okay. Venkat Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
You have another question there? Your hand is up.
Oh, sorry. Well, okay. I just have one last doubt. So currently, the BBTI, are they licensed to use the copyrights, or are they assigned the copyrights? Because I think there's difference between license and like an assignment deed kind of thing, right? Where you transfer the copyrights. So just maybe it's not really right form for these kind of questions, but just thought I'd ask.
The copyrights, see, what they have done is, copyrights legally should be with BBT, so are with BBT. Now, there is an extension to it that we can register it physically in the copyright. There is a, what is it called? In DC, they have
Copyright law.
Offices there where you can go and actually physically register it. So, and then there is this whole registration certificate we can file, and so that is an extension of that, and that shows prima facie. The first court will see, okay, are you copyright holder with this certificate or not? In this case, it is not required because the court has already accepted that these copyrights are with BBT. So those copyright registrations are still hanging out there, which are under BBTI, BBPA probably, ISKCON, all these things. So hopefully that also, the BBT should go and clean that up and put everything in BBT. But it is of secondary importance to the court accepted fact.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. Jonas Priya Prabhu. Just before you ask the question, yeah, I'm going to give it to you. Just before you ask the question, Nimai Pandit Prabhu, we've got 6 minutes to the next class, which is actually Jonas Priya Prabhu's class. So you two can decide to go as much as you want. It's his class next.
Yeah, my last question is, does Abhimanyu Prabhu, supposedly he inherited the BBT trust from Hamsadutta, does he have any legal standing as far as your understanding?
I'm not familiar with him or his claim. I mean, what I feel, what kind of what you are, somebody mentioned, I think Mahatma Prabhu, that Hamsadutta didn't accept it and then he appointed him. But according to the court, he resigned as a trustee. Now, if he appoints some successor trustee, first he has to be authorized by the court that you can appoint a trustee. As a claim, as a strategy, yeah, one can say I resigned my resignation and I'm appointing. That's a valid claim and one can go to the court, but now he is no more there to make the claim. So I don't feel there is, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is something which is there. There's a claim there.
Prabhu, what sorry if I may interrupt. What
Sure.
I saw was that, you know, there was some agreement reached between the parties, like between BBTI and Hamsadutta Prabhu. And there were some different terms of that agreement that, you know, the copyrights will be either transferred or licensed to BBTI. And then there'll be some lump sum payment given to Hamsadutta Prabhu. And then Hamsadutta Prabhu will be given the permission to set up KBI. So like this, but I think that lump sum payment was never done. So so all of the terms of that agreement were not fulfilled. So, you know, I think what Hamsadutta Prabhu is trying to claim is that that agreement becomes void because all of the terms were not fulfilled, something like that. So that means he doesn't have to resign from the BBT. Like that was one of the terms of the agreement also.
I am familiar with that, as there is a confidential agreement which was signed where the whatever 350,000 or something, and then Gupta Prabhu, and he flipped side and he took control over it. And the problem with that is that he has resigned now, and it is stipulated that he resigned. I just showed you his signature. Now what happens is somebody can definitely claim that that agreement should not be valid, not say that it is not valid. The court has agreed that it is valid. Now one can say it should not be valid anymore because the basis of my signing the agreement was such and such, and that was not met. So I am going to now resign that resignation. But
Yeah,
we are under a law of court of law. All these countries are under court of law. So if I have a claim, the way for me to exercise that claim is to go to the court and say, please accept my claim to resign the resignation because of so and so. Then the other side also has a chance to present their viewpoint and their arguments, and then the judge decides, yes, actually claim made by Hamsadutta Prabhu should be entertained or not. And if it is to be entertained, what should be the remedy? What should be going forward? If it is not entertained, then it's back to the status quo. So what Hamsadutta Prabhu ought to have done is gone to the court and laid his claim as a form of a complaint, saying that all these, whatever he was saying. He approached me also with the same argument, and I told him the same thing, that you have to go to the court to do that. And I could not approach because we were still in the court with this Inc. And we were already told as a beneficiary that unless that case is over, we cannot exercise our rights. So we had no standing in that sense. So he had to do it with his own funds, which he didn't have at the time. And so unfortunately, and then he passed away. So that claim died with him. Legally, there is no claim left from him. As soon as one dies deceased, no claim. All the claims are over. Unless he makes a will, and in that he encourages, it's a very convoluted way, but he didn't do that as far as I know.
Right. Abhimanyu Prabhu, like who he appointed as a trustee before he passed away, he has set up a website also. Like he has some legal document, all the legal documents listed there for whatever he has. So, I mean, it may be worth looking into that just to see what his perspective is. But the website is bhaktivedanta-book-trust.com.
I didn't know it.
So all
I've
the
gone through that. Yeah, I've gone through that. These are all the documents from before the lawsuit, no? 1998, and afterwards the only document is that he is appointing such things.
Yeah,
as
right.
far as I recall. But there's no basis still. 1998 stipulated judgment is now. Apart from that, there has to be an appeal on that, or a complaint, or something has to be filed in any of the courts. Nothing was done.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so you're familiar with our website then. Thank you.
I looked at it once. Okay.
Yes,
Well,
Nimai Pandit Prabhu. Closing words from you. We're gonna see you tomorrow. Right? We're gonna see you tomorrow.
I mean, only then we can bring devotees together. Manina Manadena. So that's the only way we can do it. Srila Prabhupada wants that. And that's how we'll be purified too.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Prabhus. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Nimai Pandit Prabhu, on behalf of all the devotees around the world, I know words are cheap and should have been shown by financial help and support you labor-wise. But at least on this stage, from all the devotees, I want to thank, because I know how much you've been working hard for the last 20 years. So thank you so much for putting up such a strong, brave, determined, never-ending fight to benefit us, actually. It's not to benefit you or your pocket, not at all. The complete opposite. So on behalf of all the devotees, on behalf of Prabhupada also, but you know that already, I want to thank you so much.
Prabhu, you just showing that just by appreciating, but of course, we could have done much better, much earlier, much faster, if we really were determined and all these things that you said. But all that you said, I pass it on to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much. And hopefully you will look kindly upon me for even if little bit is true. But thank you everyone, such good questions. I hope to be able to interact with you, whoever is interested more. It's a very dry topic, but it can become very exciting if one is in the thinking what Krishna wants. And this is also a service, one of the services, just like deity worship or cleaning or like that. Okay, Hare Krishna, everyone. We probably will see you tomorrow.
Ki jai, Srila Prabhupada, BBT ki jai, Srila Prabhupada. See you in 1 minute.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
So you live in this open, Prabhu?
No, we shut it down and your class.
Why do you shut it down? Why don't you just leave it on?
No, it's 2 separate classes because we're recording this on YouTube.
Okay, yeah, you got you. Okay.
Hare Krishna. See you in 2 minutes.
Okay.